Today on Brotherhood of Torque, we're going to be replacing the fuel pump and fuel filters on a Ford 6-liter diesel. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as we all know, life can be pretty unpredictable and throw some curveballs. Well, yesterday I was driving home and my 6-liter started acting really funny. It started surging while I had my foot consistent on the accelerator pedal. It was just kind of bucking, and then all of a sudden I got to the light and it decided it wanted to run on 3 cylinders instead of all 8. So I went ahead and just barely limped it home. Got it parked here at the house, checked the fuel pressure, and it is a big 0. So it looks like the fuel conditioning module has taken a dump. Looks like we're going to be doing some driveway maintenance or repairs per se. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's about 20 out, so it's not the coldest, but it's not the most comfortable as if it was inside a building. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and explain everything along the way. Now this is called the HFCM. It's the horizontal fuel conditioning module. Now this is basically a fuel filter, a water separator, and a fuel pump all in one. And you find this on the 6-liter, but some of the other different trucks had different versions of it. The 6.4 has a different version, the 6.7 has a different version, but this is what they use on the 6.0. So they call it the fuel conditioning module because the pump is right here. This is basically the backside of the fuel pump, and then you have your lower fuel filter, which lives right here, and then you have a water separator. Now if I pull this plate off, it kind of looks like a little labyrinth. This connector is the sensor for your water and fuel. So this guy basically sits up on the frame rail, and it's an intermediary. So right here it'll suck the fuel from the tank and then filter it, knock the water out of it, and discharge it, and then this is where it's going back. Now, yes, you can take just this out and replace just the pump itself, but this truck's an 06, and to my knowledge the unit that's on here is original, so we're going to go ahead and change it anyway. So what I'm going to need for this, like I said, I don't have my complete toolkit with me because it's at the shop, as I have my light. Now, you'll see these in a lot of my videos. This is a light from Harbor Freight. This thing's badass. It's got 2 different modes of the bright light. So you have high, low, and then you have your little light coming out the end. But I love these things. I have about 6 of them. They're magnetic, so they'll stick to damn near anything except this. And they rotate. They're about 21 bucks, and they're rechargeable. They have a little USB connection here to recharge them, and they're just great. I mean, you can get more powerful or brand name ones, that have a cord running to them or that kind of thing, but I just love these things. I mean, I've dropped them in oil, I've ran one of them over, and they just keep working. So you will probably always see me using one of these. Then I had to go get one of these. These are fuel line disconnect tools because the conditioning module is connected up underneath with special fittings that I'll show you how to do it, where there's little prongs inside, and you have to shove these tools in there to depress the prongs to pull the lines off. And then just electric Milwaukee ratchet, and then 13mm socket and little extension to get the unit off of the frame rail. So, and then I went ahead and bought some filters because this guy didn't come with a filter, and we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. I did these filters about 10,000 miles ago, but while we're in here, we're going to do it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Let me crawl under. Now, before I get started, I wanted to show you something that was kind of interesting. And I don't remember who I heard it from, but I heard that this fuel conditioning module is actually an OEM Ford one that is relabeled. Like you can see, something was ground off right here, and from my understanding, it's an original Ford part number that got ground off. Now this is a Napa brand one, but that's what I've heard. Now I might do a little more research and figure out if that's actually true or not, but I've I use all different brands. I'll use AutoZone stuff, O'Reilly stuff, but the Napa stuff, granted, it's more expensive, but when it comes to like fuel pumps and stuff like that, I'll usually use Napa or O'Reilly just because I've had better luck with their stuff. Now, I, you know, like AutoZone and in advanced stuff too, but just fuel pumps, I've specifically had really good luck with Napa and O'Reilly. So that was just a side note. Okay, anyone who watches my videos knows that I do my best to get the best shot and angle, but being on your back under the truck does kind of suck. Now, I know that a lot of people, this is how they have to work on their stuff, and that's quite respectable, but I might end up using my little tripod because normally I wear this thing on my head and it makes it kind of difficult. But anyway, what I'm gonna do first, because you can see here's my fuel conditioning module and it looks pretty gross. So what I'm gonna do first is, got a can of brake cleaner here. Let's see if I can find a good place for the light. And these are your fuel fittings. So these ones will use the special tool, and then these ones should just use a little, I should be able to get them off with a little screwdriver. But before I do anything, I'm gonna get a rag and clean these off, because granted there's a fuel filter in there and there's one up on top of the motor that I'll show you in a little bit, but you don't want to get any crap in the fuel system. I'll clean these guys off best I can. Now this looks like it's been on here a while, like I said, original to the truck, so it wouldn't surprise me if it actually was. Try to get clean the best I can. Now, if you haven't done any work on a 6.0 fuel system, especially 6-liter fuel filters, you have to be cognizant of the fact that you will get fuel on you. As soon as you unscrew this cap to change the filter, it'll start spilling out. Now, because this is a new fuel filter and fuel pump housing, I might get lucky, but we'll see. It's been a long time since I changed one of these out. Before I do disconnecting these, we'll go on the other side and take the nuts out that hold it in place. Now, as you can see, here's my e-brake cable. He breaks off, but there's 3 13mm bolts or nuts that are onto the studs that are on the fuel filter housing. So make sure they're actually pretty loose. Love this little Milwaukee ratchet. Oh, come on. This battery does not like the cold. Okay, she's loose. So what I'm gonna do is, these ones are the ones you need your special little tools for, and these ones should just come out being able to depress the little clip. Now, like I said, as soon as I undo one of these, probably gonna start getting bathed in diesel, so it's not the most ideal situation, but that's what we get to deal with. Now these back ones, you can see here with the blue plastic. Sorry about the light, guys. Let's put it here. You can see here with the blue plastic, you just push in on the little blue with the flat blade and just spin and it'll pull right out. Now we get the rag and only a little bit's coming out. You go ahead and clean it. Whole underside of this truck looks like it went to a mud bog, so don't want any of that in the fuel lines. Wipe this off, get him out of the way. Now we got to do the little white one up top. Same thing, just push and spin. I'm gonna go ahead and won't bore you guys with it. I'm gonna keep spraying it and cleaning it and wiggling it back and forth, see if I can get it off. Okay, it only took a couple more times of wiggling and that one came off. Now we'll go to this side. Now these metal ones have little prongs inside of them that have to be depressed. I have, this is kind of a cheapo setup, but now there's two little pins in there, little prongs, and you take this and you slide it in, and what it does is it depresses the prongs and allows you to pull it off. So the same thing, but kind of want to disconnect the electrical before we do that, because as soon as we get the other lines off, this can come off. Same thing, spray the electrical because it's disgusting. Wiggle it back and forth. So we'll go ahead and clean this connector and we'll get it off. Okay, to get the connector off, because it was fighting me, I actually had to get this tiny little screwdriver and shove it in the front and help the little finger right there pull up, just because there's so much crap in there. So we're gonna go ahead and try to take the connector for the pump off. It's probably gonna do the same crap. It'll be full of mud. Let's see. This is why I'm wearing the nerdy safety glasses, because I keep getting a mud rain. Now those two stupid connectors are unplugged. So we're gonna do these now. So when it's cold outside and you get brake cleaner on your glove, it freezes your fingers. So on these ones, you just push towards the module, shove these in, and then twist them off. You want to make sure they can move back and forth a little bit. Just like that. So it's gonna get a good douching. Now that one will eventually stop dripping. Now it's time for the bottom one. Put the rag on that thing so it doesn't rain on me any more than it's already going to. Now time for this one. Best bet is to kind of rock it back and forth before. Now these little quick disconnects are used on all sorts of different models, so it's good to have a little index of them. There we go. Okay, second one's off, and there's probably a bunch of garbage in it. Sure enough. So that fella's out. Get him out of the way. Oh yeah, a bunch of crap in there. See if we can get the fuel pump module out. Now it's dumping all over the place, where I'm gonna end up laying, but that's okay. Put it aside. So that's what it looks like. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get the new one, and installation will be the reverse. So we got our new one. I'm gonna leave these protective caps on until it's in place. Get the cables out of the way. So we're gonna go ahead and put the bolts on. Okay, fuel line time to the upper. Hold until it clicks. Like that. Do the lower. And now upper over here. And lower over here. Boom. Wipe the diesel off the drive shaft so it doesn't keep dripping on me. And plug this guy in. And plug this guy in. Put this line back. Boom. There you have it. Fuel conditioning module is replaced. All right, we're going to talk about 6.0 fuel filters. Now, this is the fuel conditioning module that I removed off the rail. Now, I pulled it off because it was bad, but I'm also going to use it to show you guys. Now, there's two fuel filters on the 6.0. This is the bottom one, and this goes in the top one. Now, you can buy different brand filters if you'd like. I wouldn't. I would strictly stick with the Motorcraft brand ones because they're just built for this. They have this special webbing on them that's basically supposed to keep water out from going through the membrane and trap it down here in the water separator. So it's not that much more expensive to go with Motorcraft stuff. Now, something you have to pay attention to. It's very, very, very important. When you put this filter in, this little nub right here goes up. You have to make sure it goes up. Now, as you can see, there's a tiny little hole right here. That's your bleeder. So what'll happen is if you have it sideways or down, this whole half of the filter can be filled with air. So you need to make dang sure that it stays up. So what I'll normally do is I'll basically take this cartridge and I'll put a black line on the other side so I can make sure that it's up. You can see I made the line on it. So what we're gonna do is crawl under there and install it. Now, it comes with a new O-ring for this lid, but this is a brand new fuel conditioning module on there, so I'm not gonna use it. But what I will do is get some diesel out of here if there's any left. Yep, right there. And put it on this O-ring. And now we can go install it. Now it lives right here. So, easiest is to try to get back in there. Problem is the socket's deep and the cross member is usually in the way. I'll just have to do what I normally do. Put it up here. Turn in small increments. So we're gonna go ahead and unscrew this filter cap all the way off. Okay, the lid is loose. Sorry guys, there's no good way to really film this. Now it's gonna try to push at you when you take the cap off. Oh, there was already a filter in there. It said that there wasn't. Go ahead and put it back in. Keep that one and put the one that I already marked and pre-lubed. Like I said, make sure the line goes up and get the cap. It looks like it's already lubed. So we'll just put it back. Only reason I opened it is because it said when I bought it on the computer that it didn't include a filter. All right, it's tight, snug, so we'll just pull a little more. And that's the bottom one. Now onto the top. All right, time for the upper fuel filter. Use my crappy crescent. And take this off. Now on the standard housing, this lid is plastic. This one you can obviously see is aluminum, which is nice because it has a little threaded port in the top in case you want to put in a fuel pressure sensor to run to a monitor or something. But yeah, this one you just unscrew, and there's a little fella up in here. Now the one down there will catch most of it, but the screen on it, or the filter on it, is not as fine as this one. So set that aside. Pull this little fella out. Try not to spill too much. Now this will come with a new O-ring. So I'll put this guy back. Now this one looks like it's in pretty good shape. Put a little bit of diesel on it. And screw the top back on. This, like I said, I did these filters not that long ago, so I'm not worried about the O-ring's integrity. Now this one doesn't really specify a torque spec on it. The stock plastic one does, but this one I just go till it's pretty tight. Keep in mind the housing is pretty much cast aluminum, so you could break it. But that's pretty much it. Okay, well that's done. Let me go ahead and get down. All right, we're gonna go ahead and prime the fuel system now. Because I replaced the pump underneath, it's gonna take a lot more priming than it would otherwise if you just did the filter. So what you do is just turn the key on and let it run and just listen. You'll hear air kind of bubbling at the front filter. You'll hear noise underneath. So you just, once you start hearing the pump kind of making a different noise, and you hear the air up in the top, you'll hear it kind of start hissing, then it'll get pretty quiet. You know, it's for the most part out now. Normally after you do fuel filters, it takes 3 or 4 cycles like that where you just let it run. I'm gonna do about 10 just to be safe, and then we'll go ahead and see how she runs. You can hear the pump starting to prime. That's the sound you want. So I'm gonna let it do it 2 or 3 more times like that, and we should be good. See, I'm gonna go ahead and show you. Now we have fuel pressure, whereas before it was sitting at 0. So let's go ahead and fire up, see what she does. Let's see. Oh, it's idling, that's good. Still a little rough because there's air in the fuel system still, but it's a lot better than it was. Thing didn't even want to pull into the driveway yesterday. But there you have it. That's how you do the fuel filters on one of these. And that's how you do the fuel conditioning module on one of these. So anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. If you like the content, follow along. So anyway, stay tuned and thanks for your support. Have a good one. All right, just a little post-mortem note. If you take these 3 bolts out of the back of the fuel conditioning module, you can pull this pump out. Now, I'm gonna look up this part number, see what this thing is, but I don't think ECCPP is OEM. So this is what the pump looks like, and it does just pull right out, but you can see there's been crap going through this thing for some time, because I think this is the discharge side, and you can see there's like build up and rust and crap in there. So it's a good thing I'm changing it, because maybe this isn't the original one, or maybe this isn't a Motorcraft part. I figured I'd go ahead and put this on, but you can see that it's kind of nasty in there, so just wanted to open it up, show you guys.